working, y'all let me know. Alright, you guys tell me, can you hear me? Can you not hear me? I gotta grab my laptop, and I could actually probably answer that question for myself. How's the people roll in? Does the audio sound like good? Does the audio sound crisp? Alright guys, I'm gonna pull up your questions here. And we're gonna talk post game. You know, in fact, I think I know exactly why I can't hear myself. And there we go. Now I can hear, and it does sound good. All right, y'all. So basically, just gonna talk post game. Yeah, this is what it's gonna be. You know, and this is going to be up after we go live. So if you're not able to tune in for the whole thing, or you just want to rewatch it after, I will be letting this one upload instead of deleting it. So this live will be up. But yeah, just horrendous. I don't think there's any other way at this point we can put it other than that was horrendous. And what sucks is that the Pats were on a 2-week winning streak. And for the past couple of weeks, you know, or the past couple of weeks by now, the big question, or not the question, but the statement has been, well, yeah, they're on a 2-week winning streak, but one was against the Jets, who they barely beat. And then the Patriots had a big win against the Baltimore Ravens last week, in which I thought was a statement win. And this was something that a lot of people were saying. No, this wasn't just me. It's that a lot of people were saying, this is a statement win by the New England Patriots. They just went and they beat the Baltimore Ravens, a true playoff team, right? Then this week, the Patriots lose to the Houston Texans, a team that only has 2 wins so far on the season, now has 3. And to make matters worse for the Patriots, the Baltimore Ravens lose yet another game. So the Patriots win against the Baltimore Ravens now honestly just looks like it was because the Ravens are just not a good team anymore. The Ravens are just having a big downslope right now. So what looked like a good statement from the Patriots now just looks like they beat a team that's on a decline. And, you know, that's what we were saying. You know, we were saying that the Patriots were back in playoff, not form, but playoff picture, rather. You know, this team was looking like they were back in the playoffs, not necessarily because the talent was there, but when you look at, you know, statistically, the Patriots were on the road to go back and make the playoffs. And, you know, a lot of people think because I made this video about the Patriots being, you know, back in playoff picture, it wasn't my opinion, you know? I mean, honestly, you could have asked me a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I would have told you, look, this team has the ability to make the playoffs, but I would still be surprised ultimately to see them make the playoffs just because they're having so much struggles. They're so inconsistent, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. But just the fact that this team cannot beat a true contender just goes to help improve that point that this team just is not going to make the playoffs, and if they do make the playoffs, they're not going to get far. I mean, you look at the teams they beat. You beat the Baltimore Ravens, a team that at the time we thought was a really good win. But now this week proved the fact that it's really just because they're on a decline. You almost lose against the Jets, the worst team in the league. You lose against the Broncos, who, look, they're not a terrible team. Not by any means, but they're a banged up team, still dealing with some issues. Obviously, they're not going anywhere. The Patriots lost against them too. Now, you can say what you want about the Chiefs and the Seahawks. Those are good teams. But nonetheless, they're losses, right? And then you look at some of these wins. The Dolphins week 1, I think that's before the Dolphins started to get good. So how much does that truly say? Last week wasn't a bad win. But again, it's not as big of a win as it would be, let's say, earlier in the season or even last season because the Baltimore Ravens are not what the Ravens used to be. I think the Raiders game was a pretty good win all around by the Patriots. I'll give them that. But then you look at what they have the rest of the season. You have the Cardinals next week. It's a tough game. They are a top team in this league, looking like they will be a playoff caliber team, a great offense, easily a top 5 offense in the NFL. You have the Los Angeles Rams. It's a tough game. You have the Chargers, who they blow leads, but at the same time, I was thinking this earlier. Sorry about that. I was thinking this earlier after the Patriots lost, and I was looking at the Chargers, right? I was looking at them playing. I was looking at the record. The Patriots are on the same level as the Chargers. They might have a little bit of a better record. Maybe the Patriots are just slightly higher due to coaching abilities, but if I had to put the Patriots on a pedestal, I would put them on the same pedestal, again, maybe a little bit higher, than the Chargers. I think that's exactly where this team is right now. They're not where the Jets are. They are not, the Bengals. I wouldn't put them at the extremely low. I would kind of just put them right here. They're not here. They're not here. But they are not all the way down here. So maybe that's a little bit of a positive there. All around this game, big reason came down to defense. I think when you look at it, that was one of the big things here. And it sucks because last year, this defense led us. And I think that's a big reason why in 2019, the Patriots season looked as good as it did. The offense started off well, but midseason to late season just sucked, was not getting us anywhere. The offense is better this year than it was last year. It's not saying much, but it's saying something. But the Patriots don't have anything that is getting them through this season. Special teams, dear God, special teams has not really done much. Okay. Not Jake Bailey. Not that. But I'm talking about, blocking kicks or blocking punts. We have seen none of that. No big special teams plays that is helping out this team. Jake Bailey, week in and week out with his punts, are always helping this team constantly. But outside of him in the punt game, special teams not doing anything. Defense is not doing anything. And this offense is not terrible, but this offense is not going to win us games. Not even close. Look at the Seahawks. The Seahawks have had to rely on Russell Wilson and their offense to win games, and we've even seen that offense cannot continuously be winning them games. And that is, again, a top 5 offense in this league. And if that offense can do it, what makes anybody think this offense can do it? When you put in all of these factors, it just goes to show that the season's a bust. The New England Patriots, they don't have a single aspect within this team, offense, defense, special teams, that can help carry them to these wins. It seems like one week the offense is good, but then the defense sucks. And then vice versa. This team is never on the same page, and because of that, we can never win games. And it seemed like earlier on this defense was performing really well. Especially against even a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. That's really when we thought the defense was getting it together. They were able to hold the Kansas City Chiefs to, I believe, 3 points heading into halftime, right? And then this defense just disappears yet again. And today showed that. Easily today showed that. One of the big things that is wrong with this defense, and Belichick extremely underlooked, extremely, was pass rush. Where's this pass rush? Anybody in the comment section? We're live right now. Anyone want to let me know where this pass rush is? It's not existent. That's the answer. There is no pass rush. And you know what? This defense, despite how spectacular, how amazing statistically, individually, this secondary is. It doesn't matter about the secondary and how great they are because we cannot apply pressure. This defensive line sucks. We have 0 linebackers. But because we can't apply pressure, how are you expecting this secondary to do much of anything? I mean, give them enough time. Give an offense enough time. Give wide receivers, tight ends, halfbacks out of the field. Give them enough time, and they will get open. There'll be a time where they can break the defensive back, where they can break the linebacker in coverage. And if you give a guy like Deshaun Watson enough time, he will find that wide receiver, tight end, halfback. And that is why pass rush is so important, and the Patriots don't have that. I mean, I don't even recall them putting up, I don't have the exact statistics right here defensively up right now, but I don't even think they put up a sack today. I expected so much more from this defense, from this pass rush, against a team like the Houston Texans, who don't have a great offensive line, whose star left tackle, I believe it is, in Larry Tunsil, he was out today with an illness. Big break for the Patriots, and they did not take advantage of it. And the thing is that if we cannot get pressure on offensive lines that suck, I'm sorry, Houston Texans, I'm sorry, Seattle Seahawks, but your offensive line sucks. But we did not take advantage of that whatsoever. So in the end, it really just did not matter. And this defense is never going to be anything unless they can get some type of pressure. We've seen defenses, even currently, we've seen defenses in the past, not even just the Patriots, who have had good pass rush and not as great secondaries and have been more successful on defense than the Patriots are right now because pass rush is just that important. Force the quarterback to make quick throws, force him to make quick decisions, and he's going to mess up at some point. Give him all day. Again, these receivers, tight ends, halfbacks, they're going to get open, and he has the ability to just sit back, relax, and say, this is a good idea to go there, or that's not a good idea to go there, or let me give him a couple more seconds to get open. It doesn't matter if it's Deshaun Watson or if it's Sam Darnold. Any quarterback is going to succeed when they are just able to sit back in a pocket and have a tea party. And it's not to say that every play on the defense sucks, okay? I'm not saying that. Secondary, this defense has it, 100%. But again, you can't rely on the secondary when you have 0 pass rush. Of course, you have Chase Winovich, and Chase Winovich is still a great defensive player. He is probably one of the only pass rush specialists the Patriots have. Of course, they have Josh Uche too, but we haven't seen too much of Uche to be able to say we know exactly what we're getting out of him. But even speaking of Josh Uche, where was he today? Maybe this was just me. Maybe this was just me. But I feel that I barely saw Josh Uche. And I don't have, we don't know the defensive snap count as of right now. Usually that comes out usually Monday to Tuesday, but usually Monday. So I'm expecting that to probably come out about tomorrow at some point, Tuesday at the latest. And I'm going to be expecting to see what we got from Uche there because I barely saw him, I feel like. And you know what? If you don't have Josh Uche there, then in dear God, Bill Belichick, what are you doing? Again, this team is lackluster. We don't have any linebackers. Who do you think is going to apply that pressure? I mean, Dietrich Wise is a good pass rush specialist, but he usually doesn't turn up with anything huge. Not really always putting up statistics. He's not really resulting in sacks. We don't really see him in the backfield all that much. I mean, Uche and Winovich, I would say, are better. More consistent. And again, I just feel like I didn't see Uche there enough, if really at all today. And if I see that snap count being low for Uche, I just have more than enough questions for Belichick and what he's doing, because that is an extremely, extremely important part to this defense. And I get he's a rookie, but at this point, who do you have that can replace Uche? Who do you have that can take over that role? Let me give you the answer. It's going to be nobody. We don't have the personnel to make up for it. I get he's a rookie, but at the same time, if he's productive, he's productive. The Patriots do not have anywhere else that they can go to make up for it. I like John Simon, but he's not even a guy that he's going to set the edge and apply consistent pressure. He's a guy that, I'd rather the Patriots just sit back. You use him at linebacker. That's where he's going to be good for the Pats. And it's no question that the Patriots don't really have a true pass rush specialist defensive tackle in the interior of the defensive line. I would probably say the best guy at doing so is Adam Butler, and he was inactive today. So it makes sense that the Patriots just don't have pressure. And you know what? I saw a lot of people today giving some hate to Cam Newton. If you guys want to let me know why that is logical, please let me know in the comments. I just don't see where that is a logical statement. I think the big thing people were trying to say about Newton today was on that final play, that Hail Mary play, which he really flung the ball down the field. I think they were at the 50 to 40 yard line. And Cam Newton threw a good ball. Surprisingly, that ball was caught by Ryan Izzo. I get it that it didn't matter. It was well short of the end zone. Time had expired. But damn, was that a good throw and a good catch by Ryan Izzo. And dear God, if we had done that play and had 5 seconds left, 5 to 10 seconds left on the scoreboard, on the clock, the Patriots would have been in very good field position to be able to grab that last touchdown. And I know that it's aggravating that, the Patriots get down the field on a good drive and they only are able to score a field goal. It's about a 4-point lead by the Texans. So either way, the Patriots had to get another touchdown. But the only difference is that if the Patriots got the touchdown, they would have been in the lead rather than having tied the game. And then they, kicked that field goal to 4-point difference. And then the Houston Texans drive the ball down the field and they grab a field goal. It's back to, of course, that 7-point lead. No matter what, the Patriots were going to have to get a touchdown. It was just going to be different if they got the touchdown, they were tied, goes into overtime, or the Patriots get the touchdown and they win. Either way, they needed that TD, and it just didn't happen. But you can't give the blame to Cam Newton. I loved what I saw today from Cam Newton. 100%. I don't know how you can't be happy with what you saw. I think he's progressing really well, especially over the last few weeks, and I'm happy with what I saw from him. We saw his arm ability today. Almost 400 yards put up in a touchdown. Almost 400 yards. More than Deshaun Watson today, I should say. No interceptions, no turnovers. He's doing well. He's getting out of the pocket when he needs to, but he's not relying on it. He knows when he needs to get rid of the ball. And yet people are trying to say that, you know what? The Patriots, they have to draft a quarterback high in this year's draft and get rid of Newton. And look, I think that they should draft a quarterback, and I'm not opposed to them drafting a quarterback. And I'm not going to get into it now because I have a whole video set at some point that I want to release about the whole Patriots quarterback situation. But today was not Cam Newton's fault, and nobody should be putting any sort of blame on him. In fact, he was a big reason that this game was even as close as it was. But of course, one of the big takeaways today also, which I will have to make an individual video about to upload here for you guys. Rex Burkhead, gruesome injury. I did not actually get to see what happened. I know that CBS blocked it out, which is crazy. CBS blocked it out from viewers to see because they said it was just that gruesome. I would still like to see the injury just to see how bad it was. But of course, it was happening for a while. Everyone was crowded around. Players were on knees. Rex Burkhead got carted off. And it's not 100% confirmed. MRI will confirm this probably tomorrow, but Rex Burkhead tore his ACL. Rex Burkhead is out for the season. 100%. With an injury like that, 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 times when you have an injury like that, you're going to be out for the season. Which means Rex Burkhead, another weapon of Cam Newton's, a consistent weapon this season, I should say, in general for the Patriots, which they haven't had much of that. He's now out for the season. So the Patriots take another L. Something else I want to mention, we'll have to see how Isaiah Wynn continues to pan out, but Isaiah Wynn was dealing with some type of injury. He went down. It looked like somebody rolled over that ankle, rolled over that knee. Did not look good. I've seen the injury several times. I don't think he's out for the season, but he could potentially miss a couple of weeks. Hopefully he doesn't. I'm crossing my fingers that he doesn't, but if our starting left tackle is out, that is a huge loss. And, I think the offensive line could shift a little bit here. What do the Patriots decide to do? Do they want to try to put Michael Onwenu at left tackle? He's done well at guard and right tackle, but do they want to shift him to left tackle and play it by ear? Do they decide to put Jermaine Illuminor at left tackle if that happens? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just see what happens. But just overall, some wishful thinking. So what does this mean for the Patriots at this point? You have 6 losses. The Patriots are not 100% out of the playoff picture. I do want to say that, all right? That's going to be one of my big things here. New England is not completely out of the playoff picture. If you watched my video about the Patriots actually being back in the playoff picture, I did tell you guys that this team can get 1, maybe 2 losses, but 2 is the absolute most that they could get to still be within that playoff picture. A week later, they already lost 1 game, and this was a team that I really thought that they were going to beat. A team that they should have 100% beat. Again, we have tough matchups. You have the Rams. You have the you have the Cardinals. Even the Dolphins, you got the Bills also. These are some tough opponents, and if the Patriots are lucky enough to go undefeated against them, then maybe. I just don't see that happening, and I'd be even shocked if they only lost 1 more game. I'd be very, very shocked. So I do think the Patriots are out of the playoff picture, even though statistically and technically they are not just yet. The Patriots could still get into the playoffs. This isn't something where we're going, 100% that they are off, and I actually forgot to put on my pop filter, so this should sound better. That's my bad. So they're not 100% out, but I would expect them to definitely be out of the playoffs this year, first time since 2008. Hate to say it, y'all, but it is what it is. So I think I've talked a little bit about this matchup enough, so I'm going to go into the questions. I know that a lot of you guys have been typing. I can see it all flying up, so ask your questions. I'll try to answer some. I'll try to answer the popular ones more specifically, and we'll get into like an actual live discussion here. All right. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Also want to thank each and every single one of you for joining today. We need a person who can get pressure on the quarterback. Yeah, we need more of those. I think that's the big thing. I think it's that the Patriots just need more of those guys. Because you have Winovich, you have Uche. They both need to be played more. They both need to be played as starters. That's the first thing. Again, there's no one here who is going to be able to take that away from either of those guys, just because the personnel we have right now, that's just not available. This is just not going to happen. But right now, that's just not going to be a thing. Okay? I know that we want the answers right now. I know that we want the answers this season. But there's not much you can do to save this season at this point, okay? And personnel-wise, there's not much the Patriots can do, minus anybody that's in the free agency pool, which, again, by now is literally no one, unless they get lucky enough for someone to get released and get to them in waivers and get past all these other teams. And the trade deadline's closed. Trades are not happening. So there's not much the Patriots can do at this point other than deal with what you have and shoot your shot. Shoot your shot in the offseason. Draft Kyle Pitts. I do like Kyle Pitts. I am going to be making a video where I talk about about 3 to 5 guys the Patriots could draft in the first round of this year's draft, because I think it's a little bit more exciting this year. They'll have a higher draft pick. What up with the Winovich sucks? I don't get that one. I think Winovich is one of the best defensive players this team has. I mean, you can only expect one guy to do so much. Boston fan asks a good question here. He says, so who do I think that we should draft? A tight end would be cool, but in my opinion, we should go edge rusher. I think it all depends on who's there. Obviously it's too early to really get a true estimate on who's going to be where and how this whole draft is going to pan out. At this current time, we just don't know. Obviously, the season's not even over yet. But again, it's just going to depend on who's there. What if Zach Wilson is there at the Patriots' projected draft pick? Is that the route that they want to potentially go and get their quarterback of the future? Or do they want to wait? Could they go edge rusher? Is that something that they want to do? Would they want to go linebacker? Right? Does this team want to go tight end or wide receiver? Personally, if Kyle Pitts is there when the Patriots get there, look, I know that they drafted 2 tight ends in the 3rd round, and I hate to say it, but I would go Kyle Pitts. I would. But that depends on what quarterback is there for me personally. If Zach Wilson is there by the Patriots pick, I'm taking Zach Wilson. I'm taking Zach Wilson easily. That's not even a question for me. I'm taking Zach Wilson. But if Zach Wilson is gone by that point, obviously you have Fields most likely being gone then, Trevor Lawrence being gone by then. If it's not really those 3 quarterbacks, I don't care too much, honestly. I would go ahead at that point and grab Kyle Pitts. I think the Patriots need a big playmaker, especially a guy who can play in the middle of the field at that tight end position. And I just don't know if they necessarily have that right now. And even if they do have a guy within one of the 2 tight ends that they have that is able to do that, then the Patriots have 2 really great tight ends who can play a 2 tight end set. in a perfect world, if Kyle Pitts comes into the situation, you have Kyle Pitts and you have Asiasi. And then Dalton Keene, where does he come in? Of course, he could be your number 3 tight end, but maybe they try to look at him at that fullback position also. But personally, that is the route that I would take. Pat's Highlights asked, why was Ryan Izzo blocking J.J. Watt with one-on-one? Why was Ryan Izzo blocking J.J. Watt one-on-one? And that was just kind of personnel-wise. That's just kind of how it ended up. It was just an extremely, extremely unfair matchup. But again, the Patriots just don't really have any tight ends. He's your starting tight end, and that's just kind of how things decided to pan out. I know that the new tight end we got, Thomas, he was active today, but I did not see anything of him. Anything. You know, if the Patriots are going to add some of these new additions at some point, you got to do something with them. What are my thoughts on Dante Moncrief? I liked actually what I saw from Moncrief, and I did actually record a video last night about Moncrief being elevated from the 53, but I just recorded so many videos yesterday. It was getting so late. I actually fell asleep while my Stephon Gilmore video was being uploaded, and it uploaded, and I woke up like an hour or two later after it being uploaded. I was like, oh, geez. That's all to do some stuff to it, like edited-wise. And so ultimately that video just was not able to get uploaded, but I do like Dante Moncrief. I think that he's a good addition for the Patriots, especially having a guy like that, a veteran like that on the practice squad. Today he only had about one catch, I think it was, but it was a pretty good catch, went for a first down. I don't think you can analyze it too much, but hopefully he can get things rolling. I would love to see him have more of a role on the Patriots. He's a good receiver. He's a receiver that I really like. He's a receiver that I respect. He just has not, got it going since his time with Jacksonville. He was good in Jacksonville. He was good with the Colts. Went with the Steelers. Did not work out. Got cut. He was with another team too after the Steelers and before the Patriots, and I can't remember who it was, but they cut him. So obviously things weren't just looking too well for him. But hopefully the Patriots can get something out of him that we or that anybody else just hasn't been able to. And I would expect him to get elevated again at some point, whether that's next week, the week after. I would like to see him get elevated again, and hopefully he can carve out more of a role. Y'all do know Pat's Global sounds like he hates the Patriots. No. All right. I don't hate the Patriots whatsoever. This is my team. This is always going to be my team. But as an analyst, as this being my job, as this is what I do for you guys, I have to keep it real with you guys 120%. And if, I'm not keeping it real with you, then what's the point? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're not going to come here and just hear me be optimistic for no reason. I'm going to keep it real because what's the fun in just being overly optimistic or overly negative? Being unrealistic is just not helping me, not helping you. It's not helping anyone. So keep it real. Keep the feelings real. Keep the logic real, and that's what it's going to be. And you know what? After we just lost to the Texans, one of the worst teams in the league, only has 2 wins. Yeah, I'm upset with this team, and I'm gonna criticize some of the play calling. I'm gonna criticize some of the personnel. I'm gonna criticize, some of how these players performed, and that's just how it's going to be when you have actually one like this. There's going to be people and certain aspects you gotta criticize, and that's just how it is. That's just life. And Ross said, I would trade Gilmore and our first round pick to move up. What do y'all think? Any trade packages you would use? I would say the only reason the Patriots should trade up is if they really want to grab this quarterback of the future. there's only so many quarterbacks I'd be okay with him trading up for. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, obviously Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson. Where's Zach Wilson going to go in this draft? We don't know exactly yet. We know he's climbing up draft boards tremendously. I'm hearing that he could possibly go mid draft, but I think that's too late. I could really see him going early draft, like early draft, like being the third quarterback taken, possibly top 10. And if the Patriots want to grab a guy like him or one of these top 3 quarterbacks, I think they might have to just trade up. And I think that's the only reason they would trade up. I don't think there's anybody else worth trading up for. I don't think they should trade all of that for an offensive lineman. Kyle Pitts, the tight end, he should easily be there for them to not have to trade up. So do I think they'll double Hopkins? Yeah, I do. I could see J.C. Jackson being put on Hopkins and then putting some safety help over on the top. I think the big reason or the big way to beat the Cardinals this week is just shut down DeAndre Hopkins and make sure that you're not playing cover 0. Please do not play cover 0. You got to have help over in the back. You got to have at least 2 safeties playing that zone coverage in the back just because of how, oh, that's my bad, guys. Just because of how deep and just how explosive that this Cardinals team likes to play. Andy Isabella, DeAndre Hopkins. We can go on and on. I just think that this is a team they got to be careful with. They got to be careful 100% because they can do so many different things. Whether it's intermediate routes, deep routes, they can beat you. Teams picked up on Winovich's abilities. He's not able to get pressure on the quarterbacks. He's not bad at setting the edge, though. You got to remember, too, is just the fact that I think Chase Winovich is one of the only guys that's able to do so. And when you only have, like, one guy that's able to rush the passer, you set your best guy up on him, you double team him. It's not that hard. I think, the entire the entire defensive line would have so much more success if we had better guys with abilities on the entire defensive line easily. If you have multiple guys who can get to the quarterback, then you're just helping each other all get open. But if there's just one guy that is going to be able to get to the quarterback, then you're not going to get very far. Do you want a moderator? I'm free. What exactly does a moderator do? I've actually never used that ability. All right, I'm going to put him in a timeout. All right, that should be better. What do I think about Cam Newton's future in New England? Interesting. Another one that I want to make a video about in general, so I don't want to go like crazy in depth here, but overall, I think the smart move is to give Cam Newton, I would give him a 2-year extension personally. That's what I would do. And that's not to say that you don't grab your quarterback of the future. That's not to say you don't grab a Zach Wilson or trade up for a Justin Fields or anything like that. No matter, whatever they do at quarterback, I'm not Bill Belichick. You still take your quarterback of the future. but you have him sit back, you have him learn the system, you have him learn the ropes, you have him get comfortable, and you don't just throw him out there. That's a big thing that a lot of teams do, and it's not it's not a good move 9 out of 10 times, especially if we don't know what offseason we're going to have yet. Give him a few years to be comfortable and to learn, sit behind Cam Newton, just learn from Bill Belichick. Probably they'll keep Brian Hoyer, so learn behind a veteran too, a couple veterans at that. But keep Cam Newton to be your starting quarterback. I'm really excited, I would be really excited to see what Cam Newton could do with an actual offseason under his belt. Let's remember that we didn't have much of an offseason this year, but even so, Cam Newton came into the offseason very, very late because the Patriots signed him very, very late, right? So, I would expect that this offseason, the NFL and just the world in general can get a little bit more adapted to COVID and how everything's going. Just kind of learning from your mistakes and whatnot. So I'd expect a better offseason this year than what we had this year, right? More team activities, whatnot, maybe a longer training camp or something. But give Cam Newton that time to just learn the playbook more, because I don't think that the Patriots are really using this playbook as they would like to. This playbook is not as expanded as they would like to. I think they're just taking certain plays, certain packages that, Cam Newton's good at and they know is going to work with him, and then going from there. But being able to work with him, really basing these offseason pickups just around what is going to really help him, what is going to help this offense going forward. Because if you look at what they did this offseason, they weren't really doing that to help Cam Newton just because he came in so late to the process. So, I think if you help Cam Newton in a sense of helping to base the personnel around him and what he can do better, then I think that we could see this offense being more productive, give him some more plays, some more packages that he can work on this offseason, and just expand that for the 2021 season. So that's what I'm thinking around here with Cam Newton and the Patriots kind of quarterback situation in a nutshell. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. If we aren't able to draft a quarterback and we're not able to retain Newton, we could look to free agency. Jameis Winston and possibly Dwayne Haskins come to mind, assuming Washington cuts him. I don't know if I'd want Jameis Winston, just because, look, he's not a bad quarterback. He's just taking care of the ball, and that's like Belichick 101, dude. If you don't take care of the ball, you're just going to be out, period. There's nothing else. Actually, I'm going to bring this closer to while we're at it. While I'm here, we'll just... Okay, there we go. I'm just trying to see now if this is going to be good enough. Maybe if I can bring it down maybe a little bit more. Little bit. Okay, maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just leave it there. Okay. Why does it look wider? Okay, but back to the questions. But yeah, I don't think Jameis Winston for me, just because he doesn't take care of the ball. Again, he's not a terrible quarterback, but I just don't think that's going to really excel the Patriots. I prefer Cam Newton, honestly, over Jameis Winston, as I think anyone should. As for Dwayne Haskins, he to me is more of like a practice squad, maybe a backup, maybe just a camp body type to see what he has, but you do not base your entire offense around him. I just think that all around that would be just a terrible move by New England to base this team around a guy like Dwayne Haskins who hasn't had success. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not a smart move. So the quarterback situation wise is, what I said is personally what I would do. I would not mind Matthew Stafford on the Patriots. I think that would be really, really good, actually. I've thought that for a while, too. I think it would be dumb if the Lions moved on from Stafford, just because Stafford's not the problem. But if the Patriots could grab Stafford, obviously Stafford's getting up there in age too, so like, is he the future? Probably not. But I think that would be really good in New England. As much as I love Cam and I want to do well so bad, the reality is that we need to be chasing Super Bowls every year, and he won't give us that period. I wouldn't say that. Is he Tom Brady? No. No one's going to be Tom Brady. I'm getting deep with you guys, but it's true. No one's going to be Tom Brady. No one's ever going to be Tom Brady. And so you can't expect Super Bowl trips every single year like we used to. It's just not going to happen like that. Again, Cam had some struggles this year, but also just look at the weapons, and the offense as a whole is struggling. It struggled last year too, and even Brady couldn't make it perfect. So how much blame can we really give to Cam Newton? There's some games where hell yeah, we can give Cam Newton the blame, and trust me, I have. But he's picked it up the past few weeks. He's been hard on himself. He's been real with himself, and he's progressed really well. It's the lack of defense. It's the lack of a pass rush. It's the lack of linebackers. It's the lack of talent offensively. That's the problem here. It's the lack of not having any tight ends, right? I mean, I love Jacoby Myers, but dear God, where was he today? Why did we not get Jacoby Myers implemented more? The past 2 weeks, we won games. And the past 2 weeks, Jacoby Myers was going off. The one game we now lose after those 2 weeks, Jacoby Myers was nowhere to be found. Ironic? I think not. So, Lucas, you ask a great question. You say, what about Jimmy Garoppolo? Now, NFL experts actually believe that the 49ers could be a secret team, a silent team, a team that is just under the radar that could grab a quarterback in this year's draft, could grab a guy like Zach Wilson, Because of that, obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo would likely be cut or traded. So that leaves that question on, hey, Patriots, what about a reunion, right? As much as I think everybody wants the answer to be yes, I'm saying no. I'm saying no just because I just don't think there's too much there with Jimmy Garoppolo that could really launch the Patriots forward at this point. I think we've seen a lot about what Jimmy Garoppolo can do. Kyle Shanahan is a great coach. He really is an excellent coach there for the 49ers. And could the Patriots maybe get a little bit more out of him? Maybe. But Kyle Shanahan overall is just a really great coach. He's not a coach that is just going to use his players wrong. You look at the personnel that the 49ers have offensively, it's better than the Patriots. And Jimmy Garoppolo is also always getting injured. You mix all that together, and I just don't think he's the answer. I don't know how much better everybody thinks he's going to be coming to New England, than Cam Newton or possibly a Zach Wilson or whoever the Patriots draft. I just don't think he's this huge upgrade. He's not going to be this Tom Brady that takes us to Super Bowls every year. He's a good quarterback, but a quarterback with a huge contract, a quarterback that's always getting injured, and just with the lack of personnel and weapons the Patriots have, the Patriots will not have the weapons that San Francisco has. And I just don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to succeed more with the Patriots when you bring in those factors. What college team do I follow? I don't really follow one specific one. I kind of just follow like college football in general. A big reason that I kind of follow, I don't follow college football like too much. I don't follow it nearly as much as I do the NFL. The reason that I kind of watch it and keep track on it as much as I do is really just for draft purposes for the NFL. So I kind of keep my eye on everything. Maybe Jacoby Brissett. That's actually something that I've thought for a while. Could that be maybe a guy? But even then, I kind of think the same thing. I don't know if that's, takes the Patriots to the next level. Ooh. Ricky, I actually don't hate Sam Darnold. I wouldn't mind seeing the Patriots give up something late for a trade on Sam Darnold. I think that maybe he's not the answer, but just see what he has. He's in a terrible situation with the Jets. They're shipping him off either way, but he's in a terrible situation with the Jets. You don't really know what he has because you look at the coaching staff. It sucked. The coaching staff has been changing the past couple years that Sam Darnold's been there. And then you also look at the factors of, no offensive line, zero weapons. You think the Patriots have no weapons? Look at the Jets. Now, those guys have zero weapons. We'll have the cap next year. Allen Robinson. Technically, the Patriots do have the cap to do it, but no. Also, Jack, something in the offseason. In the offseason, I think in the offseason he's a free agent. So they will have the cap if they wanted to. But there are some receivers that I would take over him. I don't think Brady carried the entire team necessarily, but he carried the offense. I don't think there's anything you can say about that. But I agree with you. There's no I in team. I mean, a defense is the thing, special teams is the thing, but I would say offensively he carried. There are some receivers the Patriots could grab in free agency. I probably look more towards some trades, but I mean, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola might be I think he's a free agent also. Allen Robinson. So there's some notable guys this offseason for sure. Do I think Edelman will retire? Damn, that's I hate to answer it, but if I'm Edelman, I am. If I'm Edelman, I'm retiring at this point. I mean, maybe he plays one more season, but he's at the break of it. He's at the verge. His body can't do it anymore. And Brady's not here. This team is not like a constantly winning team that they've been the past decade, the past few years. So, don't kill yourself over it. Don't kill yourself. We should cut Jason McCourty. I think Jason McCourty, look, on the field, he's not great. He's probably corner number 3. At least that is what he is on the depth chart. But I think he's there more for like mentor role, just for like chemistry type of role. I think that's what he's there for. But I think we're gonna end it for this one. I do want to thank everybody that did join. We peaked pretty good numbers here today with viewers wise. Like I said, this video is going to continue to stay up. So if you guys want to rewatch it, if you didn't get to watch the whole thing, you guys can go back and check it out. I would really, really appreciate if you guys go check out the last couple of videos I posted if you haven't already. I understand that the injury report doesn't really matter as of right now because we played the game against the Texans already, but either way, it gives you a good information on players who have been dealing with injuries, especially guys going forward who, are dealing with injuries in practice and who are dealing with injuries in general. So go check those out, guys. Remember to share this video with all your friends, your family, Patriots fans, Patriots haters. Send them to the channel. Let's all have a good time. Remember to give the videos big thumbs up. Watch them through. It really helps me out with YouTube Analytics if you guys watch the videos completely through, whether you guys are listening to them or not. Just playing the video through helps me out tremendously, so I'd really appreciate that. But other than that, y'all, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.